Technical difficulties be damned. It is the losers bracket round 85. And esports has never been more exciting with all the things going on this week. We've got the largest console tournament in history that will be taking place very soon. We've got two amazing guests this week. Curt, Keyhunt from CheckSix, jedirobb from Devastation event. And one of them is actually going to be joining us on a more consistent basis in the future. That would be, of course, Curt, Keyhunt from CheckSix Gaming. While he's here, let me introduce him real quick. Curt, say a big hello to everybody that's listening out there on the stream right now.
Hello, guys. Nice to see everyone in the chat there, the normals, the regulars.
Yeah, most definitely, and we appreciate everybody sticking through everything. If you're listening to this live, this is actually our third different broadcast that we've done tonight now, just because my internet's been acting a little bit wonky, to say the least. But we appreciate you sticking through it, and we've got our co-hosts, as always, John Phoenix Lunsford, Jerry LordJerith Prohaska. Things are good, though, so let's kick things off with a little bit of news. We've got, as I was just mentioning before, the largest console gaming tournament in history coming up. Just announced Battlefield 3, $1.6 million. This is absolutely mind-boggling, to say the least. I'd love to hear your opinions on this. Jerry, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I apologize to those who were listening before, because I'm going to slightly repeat myself here. My big concern is that it's online. And I think that it's a great move. It's clear that DICE and EA is going after Activision and core audience because they're going online. They're making it an online tournament. I think there's no doubt they're going for the big market, so to speak. So, I mean, I think that's telling that to the very end here, this is going to be up in Modern Warfare 3's face kind of thing. But now, I don't know everything about the Frostbite 2.0 engine to say for sure, but I'm a little bit concerned that IP flooding, other things that happen on the internet when it comes to online gaming, how is anyone who is in charge of running this tournament going to be able to monitor and prevent those things? I am open to saying it could very well be monitored, but that would be my big concern. John, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Online will, in my opinion, ruin it. I don't know if they have anything special going on, to dedicated servers or whatever. I don't know what. I know EA works with Virgin some. I know they have with their sports games at least. I'm assuming they might now as well. I don't know about the 1.6 million necessarily. The 0.6 at the end. What good does that do? You talked about it with the International when they threw $1 million to the winning team. It's like, okay, you could have thrown $250,000, saved $750,000, and probably still had the same effect and used all that money on more marketing, putting that money back into the game in other ways. And so I'm not really sure where that 0.6 comes in. $1 million is like, whoa, $1 million, that's 7 digits. And then it's like, well, 1.6, oh, well, they threw that 0.6 in there. That'd be cool, but, and I don't know if they threw that extra bit in there because they wanted to have major prizes for both consoles, since it seems like it's on PS3 and Xbox. But, I don't know. 1 million, I think, would have been plenty, and they could have saved them 0.6 million. So, Curt, what's your opinion on it?
I probably got a few. I'm probably going to be the pessimist of the group here because there's a few things that I don't like. There's a few things, and I suppose let me talk about the things I like first because I don't want to be the overall pessimist here. I like the fact that they're getting into gaming, period. I like the fact that DICE and whatever the motives or whatever how they do it, they're wanting to get in competitive gaming, if for only a short time. So I can appreciate that. I also kind of like the fact that they've chosen console. I will always be more of a PC guy historically, but for a game like this, and the way that things work, I think console is the only way to go. I mean, it's sort of the demographic they're wanting to pull a little bit more. It's also a lot harder for things to get off the ground in PC right off the bat. As soon as you release a game, it's just 10 times harder to get off the ground immediately. You've got to know what kind of settings you want to choose and what kind of mods and all kinds of things like that. a lot of that's easier figured out on console. Here's what I don't like about it. I don't like the fact that I don't like when anyone, no matter what the company, no matter who the developer, seems to think they can sort of do things better than the people who know about gaming, the people that have been in gaming. To me, if they really want to run a tournament, whether it be a LAN tournament or online tournament, they should have went through someone that has been a lot more experienced in doing that, and has all that system sort of built in already online, like whether that be the ESS system with the SEA, or whether that be the CEVO system, or I think Turtle Entertainment does one as well. Those are all companies they could have went to that were just, to me, would have been 10 times better, 10 times more representative of what they would look for. Also, the last thing would probably be the fact that they it is an online tournament. I don't understand that. I can't wrap my head around it. I don't even know how they can afford to put out $1.6 million on something that could potentially be cheated completely. It sort of, I don't quite understand it. To me, though, if they were looking to one up the CDXP event, they're never going to be able to do it with a single online tournament, even if the prize pot's bigger. They're just not going to be able to do it. I mean, CODXP had tons of other things that were got a lot of people there, like they had like a grappling hook and all kinds of like a whole like amusement park type setting, and then they had all kinds of other stuff too. So either way, I think it's a bad move.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that. I don't know. I just can't help but feel like they could have put out a lot less money and still got the same result from this. I mean, yeah, people are going to talk, but are they going to see $1.6 million of return on investment? I'm not sure. To kind of switch over to another subject, though, we've got a couple tournaments in the works that will be within the next couple weeks. Of course, we'll be talking about Devastation in just a little bit with jedirobb, since he'll be here. But right after that, we've also got MLG around the corner, MLG Orlando. And just so you all know, there's only 2 weeks left to get your MLG Orlando passes. This was, of course, put up on the MLG site. And here's my question here. I'm kind of curious, with MLG Orlando being only 2 weeks away and then this message, do you think that the passes haven't sold as well for this event? I mean, will we see as big of a turnout at Orlando? Jerry, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Not at all. We will not see as big of a turnout. Orlando's not friendly. I mean, you're at the Gaylord Resort. I mean, it's expensive. And I think that for a lot of people, that's, cost prohibitive. I also think that we're probably going to have an ultra low Call of Duty turnout. I mean, I get asked daily from some other team, will you sponsor Call of Duty? And the answer is no. I'm just not interested in Call of Duty. Doesn't have a market. I don't see the game lasting. But, with that being said, Major League Gaming obviously is continuing its relationship with Activision because they're doing that special where you can pre-order Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 and get the gold membership. So, I think that for Major League Gaming, what's important is that they are taking a chance here to stretch their influence. And it is a pretty good deal, to be fair. You sort of get to pre-order Call of Duty through the MLG store, and you get a full year of MLG Gold membership, and then there's going to be an exclusive members-only game battle tournament that's got over $3,000 in prizes, and that's all for the price of the game. That's $59.99. So you get the game, the Gold membership status for a year, and then a special game battles tournament. So I thought that in itself is a good way to leverage some of the things that Major League Gaming is doing. And with that, I hear that Sundance is personally giving those who pre-order Call of Duty through the MLG store the opportunity to showcase their skills live from the MLG headquarters in New York City with something called the Sundance Invitational. And it's going to be a 4v4 match played on Xbox 360, streamed live on MLG TV on November 8th. And that's going to be in conjunction with the official launch. So this Sundance Invitational is, I think, something really cool. And I think that it is also a prelude to what we're probably going to see next season, which is invitationals during the season before, say, the Major League Gaming events. So it's not a surprise. I think it's a good idea, and it's in line with what Major League Gaming is going to be doing. So I don't know, John, what do you think?
Yeah, if you think about it, they did pretty much the same thing with Gears of War. I mean, they had, a 4v4 going on at the headquarters, streamed it, brought some players in, even ones that didn't play, just to kind of promote the game, say, hey, MLG wants to support this game. We're going to play it all night long. I didn't watch all of it because obviously I was playing it at my own midnight release, but, I think they played some ranked games with people and then scrimmed each other and, just had some fun with it. And so I think pretty much that's what they want to do with Modern Warfare 3. And once again, like you said, showcase how everything is going to run. And the best part of this is not only that, but, the one thing they seem to have been pushing over the past few months is their memberships. And obviously it's been preached over and over and over again that the more memberships that are bought, then the bigger the tournaments will be, the bigger the season will be next year, and just the big overall how much bigger MLG will be. And so now if you can pretty much if I didn't have a gold membership on day one, I would have jump on this in a heartbeat, because I don't really care whatsoever about Modern Warfare 3, but I will buy it just because I'm like that. And I can get the game for, retail price minus tax and free gold membership with it. It's like, okay, why don't you just, deals like this are all over the place, especially if you have a gold membership. So there's no reason to not, jump on this. And then, he's going to bring the best players in, or, I don't know if it's going to be the best, but, bring players in to showcase the game as well. So you can pre-order it, watch it that night, and then say, I'm going to play that game, and then get the game and, go for it. So it's a great deal. I'm glad they're doing stuff like this in the studio. Hopefully they'll do it for more games, even if they're not huge MLG titles. Hopefully more games, they'll just kind of show off, games they might want to support or might be big on game battles. They're online only, whatever. So I look to see more of this in the future.
Absolutely. Well, I want to move the news along so we can get to our guests, because we have a big event to talk to tonight. In League of Legends news, obviously Dominion has been released. So those who don't know, it's out. I think we're gonna wait and let our players play with it some more. I don't necessarily know. I hear good and bad about it, and I want to let that sort of play itself out.
Yeah,
Kurt, you're in the looking for League of Legends team, or you have a League of Legends team, right?
Possibly, yeah. We're looking into it, but on a more personal note, even more than CheckSix, though, I love the game. Not gonna lie, I'm somewhat addicted. On a actual fun level, it's one of the Dominion especially is one of the most fun game types I've played in a long time. It's really, really fun. You don't invest so much time into it. It's only like a 20-minute game or so. Some of them can go a little bit longer, but I mean max. It's just really, really fun, and it's really, really intense. Really, really intense.
Well, let's go over from League of Legends over to some StarCraft 2 real quick, because there's actually a couple things I wanted to touch on with that. And before we do, I have to agree with you, Kurt. League of Legends, wonderful. Go try Dominion if you guys haven't picked it up yet. It's just wonderful. Absolutely great.
It's free.
Doing this game.
It's free. What can you do? But I can tell you'll probably end up spending money. So that's how they get you. Like you think it's free, but you're going to end up spending money.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you there too. But in some StarCraft news, first things first, I want to give a big shout out to a couple of our own players from VVV. GXZ, first of all, absolutely wonderful. He's finishing at least top 3 now in the latest Last Chance World Cyber Games qualifier. He's left with Wreck Darkcell and Liquid Huck as the 3 finalists, which I think that's just wonderful. He is playing out of the lower bracket, and he'll be playing the loser of the other two's match tomorrow night. So I'm excited to see how he does. And then on top of that, VV Ruff recently just took out Complexity Trimaster in a best-of-3 ace match. So that was a match that secured a top 6 position for us, VV Gaming, in this season's ESEA. So first things first, big shout out to them. Jerry, I'm sure you have some words for them.
Well, I mean, obviously we're proud of them both. I mean, Ruff is really developing as a player. I mean, I think a lot of people, when we picked him up, everybody always says, oh, he's just a cheesy player. It's just a cheesy player. And I mean, the one reason that I think VV Gaming has, won top 4 LAN finishes on 4 continents amongst a dozen games is because I think we're really good at identifying talent. And it's important to us that our players do well. And I think Ruff just came in to play TriMaster prepared. And obviously he's got a great Terran practice partner in Murder. And I think that really made him ready for TriMasters. So, I mean, I think that's really good. And obviously GXC being in WCG is always fantastic. So I really am excited about Orlando, and I want to see how they do because they've all been working really hard, and you can't ask much more from a division than that hard work. And on top of that, we've just launched our StarCraft Academy, and we've announced the players that have made the Academy. And I don't want to say too much about the Academy. We introduced them to the A-Team on Monday, and then Thursday they're going to have their first sort of Academy-only meeting. And this is sort of kind of structured like a graduate school seminar. It's really designed for the players to teach themselves, each other a lot of things, while keeping them in a structured environment where they're going to be participating in clan wars, as well as things we're going to be doing in-house to prepare them for a LAN event. And then for those that may not know, what happens is that at the end of this academy period, we'll be holding another in-house tournament, and the top player will be going to MLG Providence. So it's a way for those who may have not the means to travel, but have the talent to come into a setting where they'll get developed, and then hopefully perform, and then be going to MLG Providence. So yeah, I'm happy all in all with StarCraft. Sugar Bear, our manager, is doing a fantastic job. I want to give a shout out to him.
One other big note in StarCraft 2, and honestly, this is a little bit of an odd piece of news in my mind. The IeSF, the International Esports Federation, they are hosting another tournament, of course. This is just so odd to me. I actually got to attend IeSF last year. Looks like it's becoming more and more exposed, which is great. But there's just some really odd news. Of course, this tournament is hosted out of South Korea. And they actually just announced there will not be any Korean representative playing in StarCraft 2 at this event, even though the tournament's being held in South Korea. The reason for this, though, is the odd thing, which is because of KESPA. KESPA does not actually officially recognize StarCraft 2 as a competitive title. So because of that, they will not be sending anyone as a representative for Korea. I don't know. The whole thing just seems rather perplexing to me. I would love to hear some opinions on this. Jerry, you got to give me your thoughts on this. Lay it out for me.
KESPA makes my sort of like, get real sort of thing. I mean, StarCraft 2 is an inevitability. I mean, I think as popular as Brood War is, it's not remaining forever, and the writing is on the wall, and the international community has embraced StarCraft 2. I don't know. I said, I promised in my State of the VV Gaming that I was going to be rant and be a lot more critical. So I'm just going to start right here. Fuck KESPA. Like, seriously. I mean, we don't recognize StarCraft 2. I read language like that, and I think about those kind of things, and I just think to myself, like, really, you need to get over yourself. You're not that important. You're preventing another tournament from having top talent. You're preventing people who are in the country local. Korea's got amazing talent. Why not have them compete? Any opportunity, what you end up doing is slapping IeSF right in the face, right? Because their vision seems to be pretty benign, right? They want to kind of have this joint development in global esports, and they may not be the A organization, and there's maybe not the king of the hill, but they seem pretty benign. And this sort of like not recognizing StarCraft 2 thing, it just, I don't know, it's just silly to me. But I guess it's their call, and that's what they're going to do. Curt, what do you think?
I think similar. I really do. I maybe a little bit less harsh, but I definitely think similar. The reason that is because, I mean, I don't like this whole bureaucracy thing. I don't like the fact that it's really all they're doing is just, waiting. Like they're waiting for what I seem to think is no apparent reason. Like, I understand I am not, destroying Brood War here. I'm not saying it's a bad game by any means. I'm not saying you have to get rid of it. What I'm saying is that you have to recognize a game that's been released for over a year now and that's been played and, in significantly in your country. So you have to be able, and like I said, I'm not the best one to comment on this. Someone like Milkus would be the absolute best person to comment on this. But at the same time, at one point in time, you have to be able to realize that this is an inevitability, that it's going to happen. We have to move on, But at the same time, I hate to say, quote what John said here. John said that it is a chance for a foreigner to finally win, maybe, So I mean, it's kind of bittersweet almost,
I agree with you. No, John, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, ever since this whole kind of, KESPA issue has come around, it's just been a pain in the ass to ever read about. I still couldn't tell you what all is going on with it, but I remember at WCG in, I guess it was last year, in LA, and we went out to dinner, and Mr. Kim, who was the CEO of WCG, was like asking all the press people at this press meeting, like, should we do StarCraft 2? Because we're not going to have many Koreans playing, and, like asking us all these questions, like curious whether, KESPA is going to ruin StarCraft and WCG, and we're like, why are you asking us? I mean, are you that, confused by it as we are, as why they're, ruining all this stuff? And, now, like Curt said, I typed in the Skype chat, this is the best time for a foreigner to win an event in Korea. And, like someone said in the chat, this is the perfect time for Slasher to shave his hair as well. So, I guess you just got to play it, and somebody will come away with a win other than a Korean. And, they'll have that feeling like, oh, I didn't actually play a Korean to win, but, if they're going to be that way, then they're going to be that way.
Somebody gets some money. That's about the best, I guess, is that someone will get some money away from that. But it is what it is, like you guys said, and, I don't think we should waste any more time with it. Let's move along. Jason, let's leave Korea. Let's come back to the good old USA. And let's bring on our next guest.
Yeah, let's go from South Korea all the way to Phoenix, Arizona. Next week, we've got Devastation Event 2011. I will be in attendance. It's going to be an awesome event, if I do say so myself. Really looking forward to it. I mean, any event where you've got a push-up contest alongside a bunch of other things, rock, paper, scissors, and every competitive title you can think of for the most part. We've got the guy that makes it all happen here, jedirobb, joining us this week. Going to talk a little bit about this event that he throws each year. jedirobb, Robb,
Hello.
Welcome back to the show, man.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Can you hear me all right? Sound good?
Oh, for sure. You sound great. Yeah. So it's been a while since you've been on. For those who might not know as much about you, let people know who you are and tell us how the preparation for Devastation this year has been going.
Oh, anybody who knows me knows I don't like talking about me. So I'm just a guy that helps organize the event Devastation each year. Can I get away with that?
You can get away with that, Robb. You're good.
Sweet. Yeah, and preparation, geez. You spend months or a year, whatever you spend on an event, and it seems like it doesn't matter. It all comes down to that last week before the event, and it all needs to be done then. It's frustrating. For everything from coordinating things to stuff you're supposed to do to stuff other people are supposed to do. When you get to this scale and size, it's just crazy. It really is.
Saying that, I know a lot of people who are going to Devastation, and I think right now the most important thing, you've had a little challenge in the stream area, and I want those people who are not going to be able to attend get updates on what the stream is. So talk a little bit about the streaming, and then we'll get into the games.
Sure. So streaming. So we do streams, if anybody who doesn't know that. We have secured both Level Up this year is one of our streams. We were going to have Team Spooky do that, but for those who have not caught up with the news and going events with Team Spooky, they had all of their equipment seized at the border. They did a tournament in Canada, TI, T2, T1, T3, T something or other, and on the way back they got stopped at the border, and they decided, Homeland Security decided that they wanted his equipment. They liked it, so they kept it. So that effectively puts Spooky out of commission for an unknown amount of time, clearly not able to stream at Devastation. So fortunately, we have already, before this issue came up, we've already had tons of people that want to come and do broadcasts at Devastation, which warms my heart. Everything from out-of-state people to people locally. And so we definitely do have a plethora of people to pull from and actually run the stream. We are going to go with Team Hazmat, who is a local Arizona player and a stream member, stream monster, stream whatever you want to call him. He's been doing a good job with streams here, and we're going to give him his first foray at running a broadcast at a major. In addition to that, we also have Beyond Gaming, who will be on site. That will be doing some kind of streaming. We haven't quite decided. It looks like there's some last-minute changes, adding some other titles to the event, and we might be doing something with that.
Let's talk about the titles on the event. There are a lot, and if you could sort of walk us through.
Sure.
I mean, in many ways, Devastation is born from the fighting community. So let me start with those titles and then branch out from there.
Sure. Go. You want to do? Yeah. So our core is fighting games, and anybody who's ever heard me talk about competitive games and the competitive gaming genres and the communities, that I believe that fighting games are the most competitive most competitive video games on the planet. They are the original player versus player game. It's the first thing you ever went to. Well, geez, there's a whole generation of kids probably in the stream and other places that will listen to this that have never gone to a 7-Eleven and seen an arcade machine. But, the first time that you were able to walk up to an arcade cabinet of some kind, put in quarters, and actually compete against the person next to you instead of the computer. So we can debate that all day long. That's my opinion on stuff. Our community was born of the fighting games, so we do have a ton of titles in fighting games. Everything ranging from Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Mortal Kombat, Soul Calibur 4, BlazBlue, Super Street Fighter 2 HD Remix, Tekken 6, Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition, and then Super Smash Brothers, a couple of flavors of that. And a quick note on our Soul Calibur tournament. Our Soul Calibur tournament brings out the players from all over the world. We have international players booked coming out for this. We have always supported that community, and they really take care of us and come out in force and actually have a solid tournament of nothing but great players. So it's really exciting to see that one happen every year.
Moving away from, is there any other fighters?
Yeah, I think that's enough.
I want to check. So there's the core fighting. Now let's branch out from there. The other ones you're going to be hitting up here.
Sure. So sports this year, which is really exciting. Being in June in previous years has sucked as far as sports have come. Madden and FIFA both come out at the end of the year, like now, and come June, nobody gives a crap about it. So this year, playing Madden, playing FIFA when they are brand new and in the height of, in Madden's case, right in the height of the beginning of the season, is super exciting, and people are charged up about coming out. So I'm really excited to see that happen. We also have our music, rhythm, and dance games, everything from Dance Central to Guitar Hero to Michael Jackson. That's just for fun. And Rock Band 3, which actually is a fun band competition, less than the traditional competition of scoring and things. And then a lot of people's favorite is the first and third person shooters. We've got Call of Duty Black Ops, Halo Reach, and Gears of War 3. Which I'm glad I'm here tonight, because when I'm done with this, I'm waiting for one follow-up on that. We'll actually post up our rule sets for Gears of War 3. We've been working really hard, with a game that's so darn new, to be able to come up with a decent rule set for that and make sure that we're not nerfing things and taking things away. So we'll be announcing that here tonight. Yay!
Outstanding.
Other stuff. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, how are you going about deciding, since the game isn't so new in Gears of War 3, how to do those settings?
So it's fun, is that we, without even asking for it, we have been given much opinion. So people have called up, emailed, text message, sent Skype messages. Hey, you're going to do this, and hey, you guys should do this, and we should watch this map, and we should do this, and this weapon is this, and we should do this, or we should leave these. Everything from the Gears of War community to just players that are playing it and doing competitive play, to MLG players contacting me. So we are trying to keep it very light, not trying to drop the band hammer on all of the weapons, but we will be starting off with some basic weapons, the Lancers, getting rid of the sawed-off shotgun that everybody hates, and some of those overpowered weapons like that, and a couple of the maps we're taking out. But for the most part, leaving the game kind of true, because it's so darn early. It's so early to go in there and just start killing everything off and let people see what happens with this thing. So, yeah, lots of feedback, though. Lots of people offering feedback, which I never mind at all, because I don't claim to know everything.
It is a vocal community, and when you don't have any answers, I think feedback is good. Let's move away from first-person shooters and talk a little bit about what Jason said. You've got some other fun, unique things that I don't think I've seen anywhere else, and I want you to get a chance to talk about those.
Yeah, you bet. So, given the guy I am and the things that I've worked on and the other conventions that I participate in and things, that I wanted to expand some of our, for those who know me again or have heard that my spiel is that I want to bring all the different groups together. It's not just I want to have just first-person shooter groups or first-person tournament, or have a very light tournament set where we only have 5 titles. I want to have a lot of stuff. I want a lot of people to get together, diversity. I want people to look at other games and think about them and maybe play them and just be welcomed. So one of the other attractions that we're bringing out this year are a big costume cosplay contest. We actually have some very specific cosplay contests and really worked with the various cosplay communities to do something really special for them, in that a lot of them don't get to have like costume contests where they're really judged on the design and the detail into their costume. They just do masquerades and some other stuff. So we've worked with a bunch of different cosplayers to come up with some cool rule sets for a variety of costume contests: a steampunk contest, a video game character contest, an open any, so anything from I don't know, all the different genres, everything from video games. So technically you can have a character, I guess a costume that ranges all of them, but including the anime kids and all that. We're having an under 12 costume contest just for some of the kids that come out, so they actually have a chance of doing some of the things. And lastly, every single person that enters that contest will be taking a photograph in our photo booth, posted up online, and a week after the event, we will be determining a winner based on likes on a Facebook gallery contest. So everybody can get on there and vote for their favorite costume, and that person will get like the best in class. And my 2 last favorite contests that we have officially scheduled at this point are the push-up contest and the rock, paper, scissors contest. Now, these particular things are born of years and years of using them, but not really making them kind of official. Well, this year we've actually made them official. Every year we've done some kind of push-up contest for the last bit of stuff that we have. At the end of the event, we end up with lots of extra raffle prizes and things. And so to give some stuff away, or very specific prizes in the case of last year's arcade stick, we actually do a push-up contest. It's something of an endurance, going through boot camp kind of push-up contest where everybody lines up, lays out, and they start doing push-ups, and I play with them until they die. So that's always a lot of fun. And then we actually have an officially sanctioned rock, paper, scissors contest. We've used this. We still use it. So when 2 people sit down at a seat and they both want first player seats and they can't decide, we make them do rock, paper, scissors to decide who gets to sit first place. Instead of a coin toss, we do that. And we've used it for tournaments we've had to cancel or had technical difficulties before, and it's always been so much fun. As a matter of fact, at our Gears of War 3 launch at the Microsoft store this past couple of weeks, or last week, we got down to we did a wingman tournament where we had 2 people playing against other people across a LAN of 8. So we had 4 different teams playing, and Microsoft only ended up having 1 console to give to a team of players. So we made them rock, paper, scissors to take the console home. It's just fun. So we're actually doing a full-fledged rock, paper, scissors tournament throughout the weekend.
Sounds awesome. Now this event has also been challenging because you move dates, and then for example, I know you're going to do a StarCraft event, but then the IPL 3 got announced. So talk a little bit about that.
That was so bad. Not malicious, they're bad people, not bad anything on them. It's just, it's boo. Anytime that other event comes and sits on top of your dates, is difficult for people. Now, there are some things where if you have, our event and maybe some other kind of smaller regional out in I'm going to say Jersey or something like that, it probably doesn't affect the majority of the people that would travel to that. But IPL coming in, doing a StarCraft tournament, putting $100,000 on it, and it's like, wow, how could we not remove ours? On top of that, a lot of the support and people and staff that we were having run our event were kind of tapped or felt it, like, hey, this is a great opportunity for us. We need to do this for our teams, for our brands. And so that took, on top of the players and the ability to run that event, but the actual staff and people that we would need to run and stream and do all that stuff and put them over there. So it just made sense for us to cancel that, which broke my heart, but it was the right thing to do for the community, because we're not trying to get in a pissing match and be like, hey, you guys, we don't care about what you're doing, because we're always community first. And so we'll always fall on our sword before somebody else will. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, a lot of this year especially, there's a lot of organizations that have come up, and IGN IPL is one of them. NASL comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
It would be nice if when people came onto the field, they would reach out to others who have already been doing things, such as yourself. But, unfortunately, it is what it is.
Well, and to that point is like, as big as Devastation is, and I hate saying things like that, but as recognizable as it is to a lot of the community, that doesn't mean it's on IGN's radar in the least. And even if it was, maybe they still said, you know what, we are, but we really don't care because we're different. And I don't fault them for that. I don't fault anybody for that, because I'm like, who am I to think that people need to look at our dates and avoid us? You know what I mean? But it would be nice. And now that won't happen again, because we have some neat lines of communication open now. So we should avoid that in the future.
I want to talk now a little bit about your partners.
Sure.
You're growing every year, which is fantastic. Talk about some of the staple partners that you've kept and some of the new partners you've brought on board that are supporting Devastation.
Holy moly. What's fun is that every year we've had a few local community sponsors that come out. Everything from Bookman's Entertainment Exchange to Castles and Coasters that are actually here. Best Buy is another one that's done stuff with us in the past. Land Speed Games is a great partner of ours, a local a land. How about that?
Wow, that was a tough one. Let's try.
It is.
Land center, land.
I've got my kids at my door trying to listen in and making funny faces at me. I'm going to murder them. That. So, and they help support our PC side every year and things. And so those are some of our staple ones, along with Live on 3 and One More Game TV. Those guys over there. But this year is kind of staggering the amount of support that we have, and it's fun. The support that we actually have is far less than the support that we actually were starting off with the year, and some of them had to trickle off and bow out at the last minute or whatever the case is, and had to kind of walk away for this year with the promise of being able to put something together for next year. So it's very interesting that this year we've got some great companies like Beyond Gaming is coming out doing a lot of stuff for us, really doing a lot of support. They even held their own online Marvel vs. Capcom 3 tournament and are flying the winner of that tournament out to Devastation, all expenses paid. And for all intents and purposes, a relative newcomer, nobody that anybody's ever heard of, plowed through some great players to come out here. So it's going to be really interesting to see how he does. We've got Microsoft on board, companies like Evil Controllers, Hori, Mad Cats, Astro Gaming, Kingston, S2 Games, Broken Tier. I can go on and on with some of the great sponsors that we have, really bringing some value adds. Everything from exhibitor space to just sponsoring the event and help making it happen to our broadcast teams like Level Up, Team Hazmat, Team Spooky. I'll still give you a shout out even though you can't come out.
You are a gentleman, sir. You really are.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And I think I led off. I didn't say SteelSeries, and I meant to. I said SteelSeries is doing some great stuff with us, bringing out tons of equipment, so all of our PCs are unified in the hardware that they're using. Everything from the headsets to the mice to the surfaces to the keypads. So pretty cool. SteelSeries
is really a phenomenal company. I don't say that just because they're our sponsors or because I had lunch with Kim Ram again today, and
they awesome.
Really are, though. I think people underestimate why so many people that work in competitive gaming support SteelSeries. Kim is just phenomenal.
I think he is hilarious. Some of the Skype conversations and things we've had has been hilarious, made me giggle. But they're just good people, and they really seem to care about the community and what's going on and really trying to help with support where support is needed. So I am a big fan of them.
Well, good. I'm really glad to hear that. Gentlemen, Curt, would you like to ask any questions?
Yeah, first off, nice to meet you, Robb.
You as well.
Honestly, to be completely honest with you, I am the past year or so. I'm kind of new to the fighting game community specifically. Of course I knew about it before. I did a little research, but mainly just in Street Fighter. I didn't do in much Marvel vs. Capcom or Blaze Blue or any of the other names that I can't pronounce.
Mortal Kombat 9.
Yeah,
MK9 is awesome.
Yeah. Any of the Mortal Kombats, I didn't understand. I didn't like get into as much, but I mean, of course, knew the Street Fighter community, and I'm slowly starting to get into it. I understand everything now. I know most of the top players and non-top players for that matter. But the thing is, I have a question, and it's more just a personal question. Why do people hate Tekken?
I'll tell you exactly why. It has one of the there's only one game that is higher than it. The highest barrier of entry in all of fighting games. The only one that is higher than that is Virtua Fighter, and that is a ridiculously in-depth game. That thing is like playing chess while you're playing checkers, while you're balancing on a rope above a building. That game has stuff that is insane, but Tekken just has a very, very high barrier of entry, and it's hard to get in there. It gets disenchants people very immediately. They go in there like, yeah, I play with my, just like all fighting games. Everybody can play a fighting game, right? They walk up, I know, I play Street Fighter, I do this, and there's playing a game, just like and then there's playing a game. So, Tekken is just really hard. I mean, it literally is 2 combos and a character's dead, and oh, you moved? That's a juggle, and now it's Half-Life. Oh, you didn't. That's the rest of your life.
I'm just glad. I'm glad to see someone agree with me there, because I thought that was the reason. I figured that was the reason. Not necessarily that people are going to always go to the easier game, by any means, but and I'm not saying that Street Fighter or anything like that is an easy game, or even an easier game for that matter. But some people argue, all kinds of weird things. And I'm like, well, none of that makes sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't look as good. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me?
That's probably the best looking fighting game out there. Yeah, it's a high barrier of entry. The technical skills, I mean, we open up and look at that character's move list and all that stuff, and understanding, that game, all fighting games are about movement, zoning, spacing, but that game is ridiculously so. So, yeah. That's
I got addicted to Tekken when it was at MLG, and I was deeply saddened when it got removed. I mean, I was just deeply in pain. Not only because CheckSix invested into it and picked up 2 players, but
it's a lot of people don't understand the game, they don't understand the things that happen. It's beautiful to watch, but not a lot of people like watching it. It's not as enjoyable as watching a Street Fighter, because it's very easy to digest some of the other things.
Yeah, and I think it's like you said too. If they get caught, it's over. It's potentially over.
No, it's not potentially.
You've got some Korean in there like Nin or something. The game's over.
They got that Korean backdash. You had another question as well, and I have something. Go ahead.
Yeah. I have just one more question. Like I said, I am a little bit new to the fighting game community, so this is honestly, to be honest, and please don't feel insulted, it's one of my first years really knowing what Devastation was. And I know you guys have been around for a little while, right? How long have you guys been going on?
7 years.
Whew. Jesus, that almost ashamed me that this is the first year I'm hearing about it for the most part, Tim. But
I don't take any boo boo with that, because it's something that's community drawn. And if you're not touching those people, it's all word of mouth. So I don't take offense at all. Go ahead.
But my question is, now this year specifically, you guys have a ton of games, and it's a lot more than fighting games. Is that something that's new for you guys this year? Or have you guys been progressing towards that, or is this just out of the blue? We're going to add, these 3 games and this, the PC game, the fighting, not the PC, the Heroes of New Earth, and all this stuff. Is it something new, or something that you guys have slowly progressed towards?
Oh no, we have been doing this for years now. As a matter of fact, I've always wanted Devastation to be the thing of all things. When you come out here, it is the Olympics of gaming of sorts. I know that's kind of coined by another entity, but truly, when you come out, it's like there is nothing that we really don't have. There's racing games. We don't have any racing games right now because that community is weird. I'm telling you guys are weird. Racing guys, you're weird. Well, they're very niche, and those people don't come out. They're very hard to capture. But I want to have a little bit of something for everybody. I've always done that. We haven't been an only fighter since maybe 2006, 7, and even then we started adding other stuff, casual things, not official tournaments. Gotcha. We've always had the casual side stuff. So.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you, I'm really glad to hear that. Then, expect It's not, it's not much, but expect CheckSix's support definitely, from now on. Now that I know that you guys have, all these games and things like that, it's just something I didn't originally know, and I kind of feel ashamed that I didn't. But it's there's a lot of games here. There's a lot of games here, and I hope you guys really do well.
Yeah, me too.
I got to applaud you, number one, because I'm sure you've got plenty of people that are helping you, but that's to put that many games together is just amazing.
Yeah,
It is. It is stunning. I mean, I saw the final round event in Atlanta, and that had like I think that was a hilarious event. That's all it was.
East Coast tournaments are hilarious.
Yeah, because at the time I was addicted to Tekken, and those guys that play Tekken are like no other. Like they are really, and Jerry might know what I'm talking about from MLG. MLG Raleigh, for instance, those ATL guys just came out in a presence, and it was just great. It was so much fun. But anyway, they were only like 6 or 7 games, and it was just, it still, that amazed me, that you're getting that many together. So
yeah, well, I mean, it has a lot to do with resource allocation, understanding timelines, having the people around, and just being able to manage the process and care about managing the process. I'm not saying that these other tournaments don't care about the process and the time it takes to do those things. A lot of them are in it for the fun and the ride of it. And it's like, hey, you know what? We start the tournament 3 hours late. It ends when it ends, and we don't care because we're having fun. And that is totally fine. I mean, that's totally fine. That's fun, and that's what's fun for them. We're us. I want to have more of a machine-driven thing. I want everybody to have fun, but I also want to be able to offer more things, which brings up, it's a good segue into my other point about the way that we've done the format this year, which is very different than in years past. A traditional tournament, you sign up for Marvel versus Capcom 3. You sign up for the tournament. That tournament starts at such and such a time. They maybe break up pools into a bunch of different things, but you can only sign up for one tournament, and you can kind of sign up for a bunch of them because they kind of stagger them, right? They do one after the other, after the other, after the other. Yeah. We have done for a long time, we do a bunch of segmented, staggered tournaments. So in the past, we've had, Tekken running and Gears of War running at the same time. So those are usually 2 games that there's not a lot of overflow. Usually a player that plays Gears doesn't necessarily play Tekken. It's getting less and less so, but as a rule, the majority of them, unlike if you had Street Fighter and Marvel playing at the same time, right? Those are like direct competitors to each other. Like the people are going to have to be in both tournaments and things. So over the years, we've watched how that's progressed, and that even though we're staggering it, doing this stuff, it still kind of sucks because we still get stuck because there's a dude over here that needs to play 4 matches in a row, then he's got to come over here and do stuff. So this year we've implemented a new system where we break up the tournaments into multiple mini tournaments. For instance, Super Street Fighter 4 has 4 different tournament times over the weekend, or let's use Mortal Kombat because it's the same time every day. So Mortal Kombat, we have a tournament on Friday morning, Friday evening, afternoonish, Saturday evening, and Saturday morning-ish. So a player can come in and pick what time that they want to compete. They're like, hey, I want to compete in the 10 a.m. Friday Marvel. And they have their own tournament, and that tournament, the top 2 players of that move on to the finals on Sunday. And each of the different tournaments do that same thing. And so that allows us to do 2 things. Let people pick their schedule and kind of move around when they want to show up and be able to compete when they want. But it also lets them kind of seed themselves away from their friends. As you know, going into tournaments, if you've got more than, if you got 2 teams or 4 people that come in a truck from Texas, the worst thing that you want to have happen is you go up there and you're all in the same damn pool, right? Or the same group play. So this allows us to go, hey, if 4 of you are coming from Texas, you have the ability, should you choose, to each of you enter in a separate tournament, and you will never face each other until top 8. And if you complain about facing each other in top 8, I don't know what the hell to do with you, because there's no pleasing you. But it's funny, a lot of people have taken this the wrong way. Instead of looking at it as an opportunity, this is really great for teams and friends, right? People who travel in groups. Like in Arizona, like we have tons of players that get together every week and play and play and play. And now they can go, hey, well, we still got 40 of us, so we're obviously not going to be able to separate ourselves too far, but we can at least put 10 of us in each bracket so we have a better chance of not having to face each other right away, right? This is also great for teams like VVV. If they have 4 players that are coming out for Mortal Kombat, they can seed them into different tournaments. They don't have to worry about them facing each other, eliminating teammates from that. You don't have any collusion like some other people have out there in the world, because there's nothing to have until top 8, and I can't once they're there, there's not much to be done with that.
Oh, trust me, if they don't have to face Rio early, they're going to be happy. So they're thanking you for it.
Yeah, like
Someone tell EG about this because I'm telling you, those guys have the worst luck with players playing each other.
You know what? It's funny. It's funny that you brought up EG. You know, I don't know if you know that Sir Scoots lives up the street from me. We hang out all the time. He's actually a good buddy of mine, and I actually ran this idea by him when I first came up with it. It's something I've been thinking about for a couple of years, and finally this year I'm like, I want to implement this because it's another thing with the ticketing system that we did this year. But I'm like, what do you think about this? He's like, this is freaking amazing because it can finally do exactly that. My players don't have to play each other until top 8, and if they're all in top 8, I'm not bitching, and it gives them more exposure across all the streams, and there's a lot of good things. But it's funny that there's a lot of players that are really salty boo-boo about this, and I was really surprised. They're like, well, how do I not know that these other good players are in my pool, and you're going to have one pool with 20 people and you're going to have one pool with 200 people? I'm like, yeah, that might happen. Yeah, talk amongst yourselves. Try not to, don't let that happen. It's up to you guys. They're like, oh, so you're letting us seed ourselves? I'm like, no, I'm letting you separate yourselves. Because even underneath each of those tournaments, we're still going to have pools, right? There's still going to be smaller pools of like 16 players in each of those pools. So you still got to get out of your pool to get out of that, to get out of your bracket. But it's no different than if we had one big giant tournament. Yes, theoretically, a scrubbity scrub might be in pool 1, have nobody, blow through it and get into top 8. But he ain't making it out of top 8. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you got to play the players eventually, guys. I mean, like, don't try to avoid all the best players. You have to play them eventually. You know, just get over it. Just take your chance. You know.
I get why, because I can see why they're like, well, geez, what if all the top players register in one tournament? I'm like, well, then I don't know what to tell you. You guys, you know better. Like, what you should be doing is there should be a forum post about here's all the tournaments I posted in, here's all the tournaments I'm doing, and there should be some conversations, especially in between teams. Like, if 4 players on a team all register for the same one, I'm like, I can't help you. I can't help you at all. It's fine.
Like if they couldn't simply talk to each other, then no. That's just...
It'll be neat to see how this thing plays out. I think it's going to work marvelously, but we'll see what happens.
But anyway, I just as a side note, I do applaud you for being able to do that, man. It complicates me hearing you explain it to me. So I know how complicated it's going to be for you come game day.
Yeah, and hopefully with the set times and things that people will show up to their pools, they'll show up to their brackets, and it'll go kind of smooth. But we'll see. It's just like any battle plan. As soon as it will never survive, engagement with the enemy. So. Yeah. As soon as you put people in there. I have another thing, but I'll wait because somebody might ask me something. I'm like, go ahead, Jerry, you got something?
I think Jason said he had something. I think.
Yeah, I got something. We were talking about, we've got all these different games. We've got the schedules for when they're going to go on. We know that there's going to be multiple different events, for like, say, Mortal Kombat, where we have 4 different mini tournaments going on. Can you give us any sort of preview on what games are going to be streamed at one day? Do you have any sort of schedule on which games are going to be streamed at what times?
Yes, kind of, sort of. Although now with Team Spooky and that change, we're kind of revisiting it. So we definitely will be streaming lots and lots of the fighting games because that's kind of our core thing to stream. It's kind of the easiest.
Right.
Halo, Halo's on Friday, Gears of War's on Saturday, which I think we're going to be doing gear streaming. No promises, but we're working on doing that. That has some logistical nightmares all to its own. Call of Duty's on Sunday. It's a standalone tournament on Sunday. We definitely will be scheduling because we've got the 2 mainstream streaming fighters and things like that throughout most of the weekend. So pretty much every tournament that we're running will be running with that. All the individuals, like Soul Calibur 4, will definitely get stream time, even if it takes off some of the Marvel because it's a unique tournament and we have so much other content for the other tournaments.
And Tekken.
Tekken, I'm afraid, with having all these games and doing all this stuff, just because we have them doesn't mean people are going to come enter them. So Tekken might have 8 people in it, and I wouldn't be surprised if Tekken ended up having 8 people. But if we do, that'll be a quick 8 round.
Dude, I can't blame you for not streaming it. I just had to say it because if I don't, I feel bad.
and it's kind of boo is that and as you guys know, there are communities that will watch certain things and they will not watch others. So if you throw Tekken on there, they will go away. But if you put Street Fighter on there, they will watch. And so it's kind of hard to cater to the people who care about watching it than the people who actually will really not watch it.
Yeah, I feel really bad whenever I join a stream for Tekken and then I see everyone that was there for Street Fighter go, when's Street Fighter coming back?
Yeah, it's hard. You want to cater to everybody, and so it's just hard. We obviously, with all the games we have, we can't possibly stream them, and we're not streaming Michael Jackson: The Experience. I can tell you that.
Right.
Somebody else.
Are you sure? I mean,
Yeah, somebody asked me about Dance Central, and I'm like, guys, that's not any fun for anybody.
No,
That's just totally. That's like totally the extension of the next question I was going to go into. Were we going to see any of the novelty stuff? Like the rock paper scissors finals or the.
I think that'll be up on stage. On top of like those stages, we have another stage that we have in there just for the fun stuff. I think that we'll end up taking some of that and putting it on the stream. It'd be fun we've been still working on like how we're going to do the cameras and be able to do all that. If not this year, like this will be kind of an exercise for next year, kind of going, okay, these are the things we learned about playing some of this stuff and doing things. So.
Right. Now, of course, this leads me into saying, and Curt had just actually messaged about this.
Yep.
As a Guitar Hero player, do we have any chance at seeing Guitar Hero on the stream, even for a novelty for like the finals?
We might actually do that, especially because we have the two streams and we have programming. I'll call them programming holes as far as the general schedule of things. We've got slotted spaces. And it's not all that hard to pick up an Xbox that has all the games and walk it over to the stream. That's the biggest problem is like when you have a stage setup where you've got like where we run two setups on either side so we can piggyback and jump one another. It's really easy to do fighting games and things like that. But as soon as you start taking like Guitar Hero or you need to like do Gears, you're like, well, hell, that doesn't work at all for us. What we have to do.
Right.
And go ahead.
I gotta say, dude, that's just to interrupt there about the live streaming. Whenever anyone says anything about live streaming Guitar Hero, I automatically think of WSVG 2007 Intel Summer Championships. I'm not sure if you're familiar with what I'm talking about, but it was just hilarious. It was hilarious. It was one of my favorite streams, but just because of how funny it was, because they had this. They would play guitar and they would dance around the stage, and then they would have judges, and they would have like Gene Simmons or Vince Neil from Motley Crue judging.
Curt, unfortunately, I have to say one of the VV gaming players, VV Hell Ashes, has one of the most infamous moments in WSVG history when he decided he was going to play Jordan on stage and ended up failing out on the stage. So,
oh no.
That was a good time for us.
Freddie Wong doing it. Freddie Wong was amazing. He jumped on top of the stage, the judge's booth, and it was hilarious.
It's amazing what he's gone on to do now with one of the most highly subscribed YouTube channels on the internet. It all started with him playing Guitar Hero at WSVG.
yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry if that was off topic, but I automatically think of that when I think of streaming Guitar Hero. So, and I think people would then thoroughly enjoy stuff like that if it actually, was produced like that, not to that extent. Like, not to get Vince Neil to judge a Guitar Hero game, okay? But, but stuff like that, I just always thought was hilarious. How you give people little style points. But anyway,
cool.
So yeah, well, I think Jason, did you have any other questions you wanted to ask?
No, actually, I was going to pass it over to John if he had anything to ask.
John, aren't you up next?
I am. So I just got one question.
Yes.
A lot of things have already kind of been answered that they've said, but I didn't really hear about Devastation till, I guess, 2-3 years ago. I don't know. Live on 3 was doing it, and I gotten to meet Sir Scoots, great guy, and he kind of introduced me to the whole idea of Devastation, so I turned it on. Not a huge fighting game person, but it's fun to watch. The community goes crazy, and it's good to see maybe some different players than you're used to seeing at like an Evo, which is the only thing I would watch usually as a non-fighting game fan. So it was a cool event, and seeing other games added and stuff like that, obviously getting bigger. Obviously the entire scope of the event has gotten bigger, and the size required has gotten bigger. So along with growing, I've seen, on the blog, on the website, you've talked about having some, fun events at the Microsoft Store with like fighting games, and I think when Madden came out, you did something, and like you mentioned with Gears. So, is there any chance that Devastation might become more than that like one event every year, as far as like on a national kind of scale like this one is?
Yeah, as soon as somebody writes a big giant check, we can do that. No, but yes, as a matter of fact, there are some potential partnerships in the work to do some things like that. I would like to see. It's hard because I'm like the one event a year. Like I would really like to focus all my efforts into one really great event a year that really just takes care of everything, and then do a bunch of smaller events, maybe travel, do some fun things throughout the year, because I think it's fun. I like being out in the community, and I like being out there with the people and doing stuff, but it's so hard. Like if we did like a PAX East, PAX West kind of thing, we're not even close to doing that yet, that size. But like the logistics in doing that stuff, is it the diminishing value of turn? There's all these other events out there doing things. Are we stepping on their toes? Or, are we inhibiting somebody else from just coming up and starting something? I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. At the end of the day, it comes down to what can we physically, financially, and time-wise just be able to do. I would love it, though. I would love nothing to do but do Devastation-type events everywhere. I think it's fun as heck. I really do love organizing this stuff. And if it wasn't like money had to change hands ever, I wouldn't even bat an eye at this. I would do this all the dang time.
Yeah, every time I see Devastation, I'm always like, I want that, but on the East Coast. Since we're on the East Coast, it's like, I love Devastation, but flying out to Phoenix every time is, I'll do it one time a year, but I would kill for something like that over here. So I was just curious, throwing it out there, seeing if
I'll work on it.
Cool.
It's funny because people have asked specifically about an East Coast thing, and I would kind of like to do that because that's a whole different community over there. When those guys come out, it is hilarious. Whenever I get to see them,
it is, man.
They are funny people. Hold on a second. Speaking of, I wanted to bring up. Yes, he's trolling down the stream. I wanted to talk about the way that we've done the pricing. I think this year is also something I should note for the call here, is that unlike a lot of other events that you charge venue fees and registration fees and all these things, we've made it really easy. Just buy one ticket and you can enter anything you want. You can enter two things. You can enter as many games as you can possibly fit in a schedule during the day for $35. Like I'm going for the, hey, we are the Walmart best value add kind of event out there, because I don't think you can go anywhere else for less than that. So
I think that model also fits with your opportunity, if you should so choose, to expand on the convention-like atmosphere that you have with the sponsor booths and the vendor booths and things like that. So I think that fits in line with a lot of the other conventions that are out there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Go ahead, somebody was talking.
No. I was going to say that I'm looking at our time, and I think, unfortunately, our time is coming to a close here, Rob. And I want to, one, thank you for coming on the show. Two, I want to wish you sincerely the very best of luck in having a fantastic event. I know the IPL 3 was a bit of a setback, but I say this in a loving way. Thankfully, that's not your core audience, and what has made Devastation great every year seems to go unchanged and stronger than ever. So on that note, a very, hearty congratulations to you, sir.
Thank you so much. I do appreciate it.
No, it's our pleasure. I know for us, we're going to have one of our Gears teams there, the New Order. We're obviously going to have our rock band there. We're going to have our Guitar Hero players there. We're going to have our Mortal Kombat player there, VV Rio. So there will be plenty. One of our bloggers, Sean, who's going to come to look at the cosplay because he's a big cosplay fan.
That's awesome.
So, you've brought people. You do this, and this is what I love about your event. You bring it very much mirrors what we love in VV Gaming, which is that cross-pollination. It's more than just an event, Rob. It's a little bit of a cultural phenomenon, and I think you've hit it right. So I wish you much success. It's always a busy time, but I'll be watching from home.
I appreciate that. And and it's a fashion show, everybody. So as Beyond Gaming shouting in the thing, you got to dress up. This isn't jeans and a t-shirt kind of place. I'm just saying.
And on that note, before we let you go, Rob, you are a bit of a fashion person, from what I know of you, sir.
Yes, I can be. I have a great Persian tailor that takes care of me and makes me look good. So that's all that matters.
So how did you, because I think the average person's experience is to go to the store. How old were you? At what point did you meet a tailor and decide custom clothing is the way I want to go?
You know what? I've always had positions where I've had to dress up. So over the years, I've always had some professional office capacity where I've needed to kind of wear slacks and a shirt or a polo or something like that. So that progressed from like the Men's Warehouse to finally, I am a weird size guy. I'm a short guy, but I have broad shoulders for my size. So finding something that fits me is ridiculous. And so I have like the pants that are too long or the jacket that's too long because like it doesn't fit me. And finally, one of my friends introduced. I was complaining about having the Men's Warehouse guys tailor them because they're idiots and they don't do a good job. I'm sorry, Men's Warehouse, but you don't. And I hope they're not looking to sponsor Devastation because
No, you don't. You know what? And I don't think you have to worry. You're not the only person who. A friend of mine said warehouse was the most accurate part of their title.
Warehouse, exactly that. So finally, a friend, a friend and his brother, who's a model, actually made an introduction to this tailor. He's like, I think you would. Looking at your style, he's like, I think you would really, really like this guy, and met him a few years ago, and have not ever doubted him. So he does well. So, yeah, he's a good guy.
If anyone is in Phoenix, Arizona, and they are looking for a tailor, and they want a step above Men's Warehouse, it is jedirobb to whom you should turn.
Yep. As a matter of fact, I actually thought about doing it this year. I think next year for sure I'm going to bring out him and his whole friggin' store and just let him set up a big area and just be done and like dress everybody. It's like, hey, you want something? Here you go.
I would imagine that most gamers, that would be a first for them.
Oh, yes, I think so too. Yeah, actually, I thought about doing it this year, but I'm like, you know what? Nah, because the space I want to allocate for him would be kind of weird. So I'm definitely talking to him next year about just, come out. We'll do some stuff. We'll show some kids what it's like to be dressed up.
From cosplay to rock, scissors, paper to push-ups to fighting games to Gears of War to Call of Duty to Persian tailors, Rob, you never fail to entertain. I want to wish you a good night. Take good care. And I'm sure we'll be talking to you soon, sir. Good luck with Devastation.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the time. Appreciate it.
All right. Jason, I love having him on the show.
I can't help but agree. I'm very excited to hang out with Rob a little bit next week, getting to go out to Devastation in Phoenix, Arizona. It's going to be a hell of a good time. I'm excited because, it's the first real Guitar Hero tournament of the year, so something I can finally compete in. That's going to be a blast. But overall, I'm really looking forward to seeing the entire competitive gaming community out there, too. So it's going to be a blast. And seeing everyone from VV Gaming. It's going to be great. It's going to be a lot of fun. So now that we've talked a little bit of Devastation and we've got Curt here on the show. He's been helping us out, throwing some questions around, and I think it's about time we get to know a little bit more about Curt and talk a little bit about what he does with CheckSix and some things like that. What do you think, Jerry?
Absolutely. For those of you who don't know, as we are getting ready to launch our new site, you might be noticing a small pattern here. First, we had John Phoenix Lunsford, who you all know from Gow Nation, and now we're bringing on Curt, Keyhunt, but I will forever know him as Curt, from CheckSix Gaming. One of our goals is to expand the panel, so to speak, the people we've had on the show, because primarily we've always served our VV audience really well, and I think we will continue to do so, but the kind of conversations that I'd like to have, so forgive me, this is probably partially for me, is I'd like to have people that both have a different perspective, different interests on our show, because, some shows you might get everybody who kind of supporting the same thing, and here I want to do something different. I definitely want to have people who have different perspectives. So Curt is obviously no stranger to the PC gaming community. He goes way back, and I'll let him tell all of you in his own words, who is Keyhunt?
Oh, that sounds scary. That sounds really scary, Jerry.
I don't know. I've never been on a Keyhunt. You have to tell me how that goes.
All right. Well, first to introduce myself, I'm the business development manager with CheckSix Gaming. I'll start talking a little bit about myself before I start talking about CheckSix. I suppose I started like most. Most on the PC side of things, at least. I did start in Counter-Strike. I'm not going to go back all the way to when I was 2 and I was playing Atari or anything like that. I'm just, but I did start in Counter-Strike, 1.6 that is, of course. Pretty much the same legends as most. Joined a clan called Brothers of Chaos. Yes, that was an amazing name back then. And really just enjoyed playing the game. To me, it was the first time that I'd ever experienced anything like that on a PC game, for that matter, any kind of game. I didn't really get into any other games before that, any other multiplayer games before that, really any single-player games. I was never a huge story mode fan, so as I call it, never much of a single-player guy. I always, just from the day one, was a huge fan of multiplayer games. So 1.6 sort of just culminated that for me. Of course, played that for quite some time. To me, 1.6 immediately just the climate back then, it just led you into competitive gaming. If you were in 1.6, you just sort of fell heads first into what we call esports, and it actually started with my favorite. I watched a frag video, which I think was Fraud the Clairvoyant was the very first one I watched, video I ever watched. But anyway, that's pretty much it. I just fell directly heads first into that. I'd say probably about 2 or 3 years after being in there and going through the regular runs of being a staff member and being writing for things. I worked for Gotfrag for a tiny amount of time writing some stuff.
As a freelancer, or?
Yeah, completely freelance. And I mean, just completely, like, just mainly going through the runs. Like I worked at Jack's Money Crew for a while as a staff member. Then I did, what else did I do? I can't even remember. But it got to the point where it's like, I love the behind the scenes stuff so much. I crave, not the attention. I crave the exact opposite. I crave the behind the scenes stuff that people don't get to see all the time, and so it got to the point where I knew I wasn't going to get away without starting an organization. So I decided to start an organization when I was fairly young. Had a little disposable income that I was going to put into it. Even back then, I tried to make things as smart as possible with how much I put into it. So anyway, the organization I started was Innervate Gaming. Kind of a stupid name at the time, but I did start Innervate for a while, and I had Innervate for a little over 4 years. We represented mostly in Call of Duty. I did not represent the Counter-Strike 1.6 scene that much, just because, to be honest, we couldn't afford it, and I wasn't going to live out of my means any more than we had to. But we mostly supported Call of Duty 2 and a few of the other smaller games. But anyway, and then I decided to put that on hiatus to finish up college. I got a associate's degree for computer information technology, and then I'm going for my bachelor's later on as well in the next year. But now I'm actually currently with CheckSix Gaming. We decided to myself, and my partners, Ben Scholes, our logistics director and finance director, Ian Olson, who was originally our marketing director, and Zachary Lang, who's our executive director, all decided to just sort of bring back CheckSix and bring back something that was a legend, really. I mean, CheckSix Gaming has been around forever. So we did speak to the original owners, Matt Kay, who was at the time one of the owners of the organizations. He did give us complete permission with that, and we've just been running it ever since, and just trying to keep things rolling.
And for those who may wonder, what made you want to be on the Losers Bracket podcast show?
I suppose what made me want to be on the most is the fact that I've always wanted to be on some type of podcast show, some type of, whether it be a podcast, whether it be an editorial team. I can't write worth anything, though. That's why I didn't last very long on Jack's Money Crew. I'm not a writer. I'm unfortunately not a writer. I'm not really a speaker. I don't have that kind of voice. I don't have a radio voice. But I absolutely love the fact of being on a podcast. Originally, I have tried to start some type of podcast or show, I would say at least a dozen times. At least a dozen times. And I've even made, little farce podcast shows every once in a while. It just never worked out because either the people that I partnered with or something or another, something that had happened. So I absolutely love the fact that you guys have given me the opportunity to be on the show, not only as an interviewing, but as a part of it, because I've been listening to the VODs for quite some time now. So I could just appreciate what you guys are doing, because gaming really needs this stuff. I listened to the new, quote-unquote, new podcast that's coming out with Slasher on MLG today, and he made a great point to me. Gaming's to the point to where you need these shows. You really need shows like this that cover these news and cover it and to me, this particular one covers it in a very interesting way. You know, Jerry's epic rants are legendary. You know, absolutely legendary. One of my favorites was the Super Smash Brothers one after the whole MLG controversy. That one was great. You know,
well, you might as well get on Twitter now, because the next thing I'm going to go after is the Gears of War community. We got to straighten that shit out tonight too. But
right.
before we get into anything like that, Curt, going back to what you'd said about your own experiences, person who's been around esports from the 1.6 days, you know, there's no irony that I've brought somebody specifically who has 1.6 love and passion and understanding of that background, because I've always picked on 1.6 for being a game past its due date. And, you know, I think it's important that people who listen to the show know that I still respect the history of what 1.6 represents to what is modern esports today. And to be fair, that's not a history that I have deep personal connection with. So I think you'll bring a lot of that onto the show, which is going to be better for our audience and, you know, good for us too as we get educated to some of the things that we may not know. With that being said, you know, I want to get a feel for those who may want to know, you know, what's your goal? What's CheckSix goal? You know, talk a little bit about the future for yourself and maybe CheckSix.
Okay, well, I suppose I'll start with CheckSix. The main thing with CheckSix is we believe that, and it's the whole reason we started it, we believe not only is another North American organization something that would help, it's something that I think is required. I think we need more stable teams and organizations that can not just be in here for the short term, cannot, you know, just as you put it brilliantly, you know, build it and hope that things come to them. You know, we know all of us at one point in time have either had an organization, owned an organization, or been a part of another organization. We understand how ridiculously hard it is to have one and to be able to keep one going and to be able to deal with all the ridiculous drama that unfolds with it. So we know how hard it is, and we're prepared for that. So we want to be, we know that we can do this. We know it's a sense that that North America needs another organization. I'm not going to be as cocky as say that it needs us specifically, you know, but I think that we as a whole really know what we're doing, and we understand that the one's, you know, so necessary that we needed that North America needed someone to fill that void, or one of the voids. And also, you know, me personally, I just really hope to help out other people that are wanting to start an organization. Like, I mean, to me, there are a lot of people out there that really want to start an organization or a team, but they don't know how. And a lot of them, the problem is, really goes to play that they don't know how, so they just do it anyway. You know, everyone wants to own their own team or be a part of their own team, and that's great. But if you don't know how to do it right, it's just you make it so much worse. There's so many people that you know, they make an organization, they can give it a name, and then they pick up 8,000 teams, or they pick up a Farmville 4v4 team, or something that they know they can't support, but they do it anyway.
Yeah, I think you hit that right. I mean, maybe that is something that we could talk about. I mean, maybe that's just something we will actually look into, is building your own gaming organization. What does it take? And do that step by step to help people understand. I mean, I think, you know, Six Jacks is a prime example, right? You know, and that's a great example, because a lot of times what happens is that, and I kind of blame esports itself for this, but players have, and I think young people have, a very unrealistic expectation of the money that's out there, right? I mean, EG might be able to pull in a couple $100,000 a year, right? That's EG. But you starting out of the gate are not going to get anything. I mean, you're not in that. It doesn't matter who your players are, right?
Despite what you may think.
Well, the problem, this is where the naivety always comes in, right? Because let's assume that you think you know of a good player, right? You should first ask yourself 3 questions. I always say this to anybody who asks me, what do I need to know to start my own gaming organization? One, why would anybody sponsor you if they can sponsor the league? That's the first question. Why sponsor you if they can sponsor the league? Make sure you have an answer for that. Make sure you know why someone should sponsor you versus sponsoring the league. Two, if you believe picking up players is going to bring sponsors, you should ask another question to that strategy. Why hasn't anybody else picked them up and gotten sponsored because of it? Two, why hasn't that player gone out and gotten a sponsor themselves? You should ask that question. It's an important one to ask. Three, if you believe that there's something you're going to do that is going to make you unique, I applaud you. But if you're going to be another gaming organization like EG, try in the beginning to differentiate yourself from the EGs, the Complexities, the CheckSixes, all the other gaming organizations out there, if you can. Because otherwise, you'll be starting out and people will say, well, they're kind of like EG, Complexity, CheckSix, but they're not really that good. So think about that carefully so you don't make those naive, I don't want to say it's just decisions, but have that naive perspective on how and where competitive gaming is today and how the business of competitive gaming works. I mean, if somebody were to ask me why is EG so successful, I would probably say it's because Alex Garfield is a brand monster. I think Alex is phenomenal at defending the brands that he partners with. I would never be able to get away even remotely slighting Monster or any of EG's partners without what I'm pretty certain without hearing something directly from Alex, because he, I think, believes very deeply in the people that he works with and has for a long time. That's a really important thing. And if you're not a fantastic partner, you usually can tell by how organic a person represents your brand. And that word organic means naturally, right? I don't go to lunch with Kim Ram because he's my sponsor. I go to lunch with Kim Ram because I like him as a human being and he makes a good professional partner and we can talk about ideas. There's a big difference. You will naturally make excuses if you don't like someone. You won't meet with them. You'll get busy that day. Your cat will get sick. You'll have homework due. You'll have a headache. You'll get sick all of a sudden. You'll make every excuse to avoid the people you don't like. But the flip side is also true. It is very evident when you're forcing your like of something. We don't support devastation. For example, we didn't have jedirobb on earlier because it's really so much a business interest of ours. It's because we identify that jedirobb performs through devastation a phenomenal space for cross-pollination of games, something we in VV Gaming value, and his events are just plain old fun, right? That's not something guaranteed in any other place, to be fair. But devastation is fun. There's something about the atmosphere that Robb creates that takes that edge off that I see in other competitive events. And the odd part is it's all competitive still. So, I mean, those things, I think, all together tie into some of the things that maybe we will down the road start to share with other people so they can learn a little bit about what it takes. Curt, I'll bounce it back to you, and then maybe we'll talk to John after that since he's doing Gal Nation right now. But I'll throw it first back to you, Curt. I think it's true in a way that there are a lot of novice assumptions someone can make when they're thinking about their own gaming organization.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. People there's certain key terms that even new people understand. This is it. There's certain new terms that return on investment. They go, well, we're a good return on investment. They go, that's just a key term that people understand. Or they think, well, we've got to write a proposal. That's great. These are all correct things. But how? Explain to me exactly how, why, when, where, and all that. I mean, because you've got to hit everything there, buddy. You've got to hit every single thing right in order to be able to pull the kind of support that you would need in order to be an EG or complexity or something like that. You have to, you can't. Like I said, the number one mistake that I really want to prevent people from doing, because it doesn't just hurt them, it really hurts the community when they do things like pick up 8 or 9 teams that they can't support. It happens all the time. It happens all the time. Even more so in things like Counter-Strike. It happened a lot there with, Apocalypse Gaming was a big scandalous one that did it. And, back then. I mean, a lot of people pick up a team they can't support. I did it once. I mean, really. I mean, when I started Innovative, I made the mistake of doing something like that once. And I paid for it and moved on and didn't do it again. A lot of people don't do that. And a lot of people will, pay for it and then continue to do it. And you're seeing this in StarCraft a lot too, but you're seeing it in a different way. StarCraft is doing it. They pick up players. They have an investment. They're putting money in. They're putting tons of money in, and they have the initial investment, but they have nowhere to go after that. Once their investment's over, they're done. That's it. And they don't know what to do in the middle to get more support or to get, a little bit more stability. Or maybe cut their roster down so they're not paying, a ridiculous amount of salary for players. There's all kinds of things like that just people, I really just want to help with that. I really don't want to complain to people with that. I really want to help people that are up for doing things like that.
And John, you're doing something a little bit different because you're more or less a title site where a community for a specific game come together. But what has been your experience recently? Because, you've done something similar before, but there's been a lot of activity around the launch of Gears of War 3. What's been your experience?
Yeah, I've like you said, I've given that whole gaming organization thing a shot and failed miserably at it. So I've learned from that. I think there is a lot to learn from trying and failing. That's kind of always a saying, I guess, learn from your mistakes. And so I have with that. Moving on to Gal Nation. I started it up with Game Nation before, and we almost tried to go with like that SK kind of feel, like we're going to do news. We're also going to have teams, and we're also, kind of everything mixed into one, and that failed. And so we kind of backed off and said, what's one thing we really know, we really support, and we can really get behind? And so we went with Gears of War. I came into Gears of War from day one, or well before day one, getting involved with it, playing it competitively, worked with MLG for a year, just all kind of things about Gears of War. And so I figured, all right, this is where we got to go. I didn't want to create something and support something that we didn't know. Like, Zach, who I work with, had brought up, why don't we try and do something with like Modern Warfare 3 or, insert game here that we're not really accustomed to. And it's like, I think a lot of people try to do that and they kind of fail because of it, because they don't really focus on what they know. And so with a lot of gaming organizations, and I did the same thing, I feel like, okay, Halo. So you go out and try to pick up a StarCraft 2 player and, you might throw money at it. You might not, you might promise money and not have it. And it kind of causes you to slowly go downhill. So I wanted to kind of back off and say, all right, let's create Gal Nation. Gears of War is something we know, something we want to support, something we like, and it's something I think people can really get behind. And so that's kind of why we pushed through with just that, and learning from our mistakes of the past and focusing on things that we didn't really need to focus on. If we can just get behind one thing and really support it, then it can work.
No, I think you bring up a lot of good. No, go ahead.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think people need to learn their strengths, and the problem is people either don't try to learn their strengths. They just try to copy others because they're just not because of any malicious action, just out of the copying. It's just they're trying to be like them, and it doesn't work like that. To me, you need to find what you like to do and what you think you're best at. If you think you're best at running an organization, fine, but you really need to look at exactly how everything is done on the inside and not look at it just from the outside. Yeah,
and kind of on our end of things, a gaming organization might say, all right, I want to copy EG, I want to copy VVV, I want to copy Complexity, because they're doing it, they're kind of the big, ones, especially in North America, that they see as successful, and so they want to copy that model. Well, maybe they're not capable of copying that model. So on our end, when we started Game Nation, we kind of went after the whole let's copy Got Frag kind of model. And I think there have been a lot of sites that have done that and a lot of sites that have failed with it because they're not Got Frag. Just like random organization A is not Team EG. And so instead of focusing and stopping and pulling back and kind of saying, all right, what can we focus on that we actually know and actually can support and actually, go after, it's like, well, Got Frag had it right covering everything. So why don't we just do that and, copy that? And then that's kind of what we did with Game Nation. And then it slowly but surely kind of tanked after the first year of having it. So, once you can back out and see, and I think VVV does a good job of this as well. You're not going to go after every single top player and every single team and throw money out there when that's not necessarily what you do best. I think we brought up a lot of times that you don't have to have an Idra or a Huck on VVV to be successful.
I think you're right. I mean, I think, if you were a smart person following esports business, you would say, you should ask what I call ask the obvious questions, right? CheckSix is supported by Thermal Take, right? That's their main sponsor. That's right, Curt. That's their main sponsor, correct?
Yes, sir.
And if you look carefully, Complexity, I think, has, they have what, sound, do they still have Sound Blaster? Who do they have?
Creative, yeah.
Creative, right? They've got Creative, right? EG has, for example, SteelSeries.
list them all
right?
there.
Right? But it generally isn't worth for a company to support more than one team. So start with what I call the obvious question. If SteelSeries supports Evil Geniuses, why would they support a VV Gaming? Right? Why would they support some of the other gaming organizations they do? What do those organizations touch that Evil Genius doesn't? And if you look at it, it makes sense. Right? Optic Gaming, they do Modern Warfare, and they do it big. It's about all they do, but they do it big. EG, obviously, if you're listening to this show, you know who Evil Geniuses are. And then with VV Gaming, you're looking at that talent factory. How do you take a person who is out there right now playing a video game and transition them from that to being an esports fan? And everybody's got to play their role. And that's really the key important part when you think about, I'm going to be a gaming organization. Okay, what purpose are you going to serve esports? What purpose are you going to serve those of us, right, in the business? What purpose are you going to serve for greater esports? You should think about that. How are you going to be different? How are you like EG, but how are you different than EG? How are you like VV Gaming? How are you different than VV Gaming? If you're going to do news, how are you going to be like Godfrag? How are you going to be different? If you're going to do a title site for Gears of War, how are you going to be like Gow Nation? How are you going to be different? Whatever your passion is.
Yeah.
You have to ask yourself, how am I like something and how am I different?
Yeah, and to me that's what I feel like people aren't really investigating into enough. That and among other things. I mean, to me there's a lot of people out there that can really help people that want to do their own thing. I mean, things like if you want to be a caster, if you want to do something with casting, DJ Wheat and Scoots that does, the business side of things, and then Day 9. I'm sure all those guys, despite their busy schedule, are there to help. Organization, I am more than willing to help. Scoots has commented many, many times, on different tips to help people out. And Alex the same way. I mean, and you as well. So I mean, there's so many people out there that are there to help you. If you just listen to the people that are there to help you, and really just try to to get your own thing going in a smart way, rather than the way that you're looking at it from the outside. That Complexity has 18 teams, so I must have 18 teams.
Yeah, it's not going to work that way. Good luck. You're going to end up you're going to have like 6 jacks, and you're going to end up being broke, wondering, I think Kim Rom had a funny story. He said, then you get one of these emails that says something like, hi, my name is fucking Desperate Asshole, and we're having financial troubles. Would you like to be involved with my organization? What? Yeah, sign me the fuck up. I want a partner who's got
email.
fucking financial difficulties. Sign me the fuck up. I'm in the business of charity for stupidity. So you've come right to the right motherfucking place. Thank you very much.
And me and you know, we all get the same thing. And I don't want to go into a whole, bashing the teams thing. I always feel bad when I do that. But we all get the same thing. You know, we get the emails from teams that want a ton of help, and that's what we're here for, you guys. I mean, I'm more than willing to accept those emails, but you got to put a little thought into them. You know, don't send me an email saying we play a game, please sponsor us. Well, what game? You know, at least tell me the game. Preferably a name would be nice.
Or even better if they're sending out an email to you and then they CC other organizations on that same email.
I don't want to get into all the things that players do badly.
Yeah.
All right. So we were talking about different organizations. John, you've had a hell of a week at Gal Nation with the settings and this discussion. That's all you know. No, John was going to rant tonight, and then he said, no, I'm too good in a mood. So I have to walk a fine line between not upsetting John and getting him pissed off again and asking him, how are things going, John?
Let's see how to put this nicely. They're going good. We had the first rounds of the tournament Saturday and Sunday. After everybody lost on Saturday, they got all emo and decided to not show up on Sunday, but about half the teams did. And, I think things are going to be really big this weekend. We had our 2 biggest days on the website ever, bigger than our first tournaments, but obviously Gears of War 3 is bigger than Gears of War 2 or 1. And yeah, a lot of bitching about the settings, but that's a whole nother story.
So I feel like there's all kinds of mixed messages, and I want to give you a chance from Gears of War Nation. What exactly were you trying to do? What was your purpose?
To have a fun first tournament for people to play in. That's it.
And what do you think has sort of happened with the what may have gotten away from you, so to speak?
I think what a lot of people are taking is that when we decide to run a tournament, and because the majority of our focus is on the competitive scene, and I'll agree with that, I think G-Con has the casual scene by the nuts, and, we have that kind of competitive scene. That's when I started Gal Nation originally 2.5 years ago. That was the whole point then, and that's kind of the point now, or at least when I started it. And I think people see the fact that we changed anything in the game when MLG kind of made it clear that they wanted to stick to default, and by default that meant, working with Epic, obviously, not just taking the box out of the game and running with it, and anybody with a brain knows that. But they saw it as, well, if Gal Nation's changing everything, they must not support default settings. And that's not even close to right, because we, and he told me not to say anything, but I'll say I talked to KC before we even launched anything. And there's a reason we did what we did. And that's because we know that MLG wants to do default. We know that people support default. I know you do. I know a lot of VVV people do. And I'm not against default whatsoever. People have that opinion because we change things, and that's not the case whatsoever. The bottom line is we had fun changing some things around, and so we did. And so when people come and attack us for it and are like, why are you changing everything around? MLG's using default. You're wasting your time doing this. We're not wasting our time. If we want to have a fun tournament on the first weekend and allow some teams to get in there and play, then so be it. I feel we've done that. Now, some teams have already broken up because they lost a match. Well, you know what? You need to get over yourself and, grow some balls because you lost one match in a fun tournament. And people are going to have egos for winning this, and that's just typical Gears of War people. But you know what? This is a free-to-enter tournament. Our prizes are worth like $60. Big freaking whoop. And so if you want to play in it, you play in it. Simple as that. If we change some things and you don't enjoy it, you can either play in it and have fun and get over it, or you can not play in it. I mean, I don't want to pull the card of, we have 100 teams on the waiting list that would take your spot in a heartbeat, but we have 100 teams on the waiting list that would have taken your spot in a heartbeat if you're going to bitch about it the whole time. And we're not trying to throw our settings out there as the gospel truth of this is what competitive gaming is. We're not trying to say, oh, the mulcher and the mortar and the one shot and the hammer of dawn, they're all terrible weapons. We're going to take them out of the game, and they've never been in there before, so we're going to, take them out and not even play with them. That's not what we're doing. And you'll see when we release our new settings tomorrow, I think, we've been playing all weekend. We sat there and watched how all the matches went, and we realized that, you know what? Some of the heavy weapons aren't that bad. But we had to stop and look at it and say, all right, we played ranked pretty much the entire first, couple of days. We watched people play without the heavy weapons in there. We played ourselves, obviously tested a lot without the heavy weapons in there. And we kind of stood back and say, now we have both to go on. And so we realized, you know what? Default's not that bad. At the end of the day, there's not a problem with that. And so now we know, and we can go in there and say, all right, default's cool. Let's go with it. And so you're going to see we hardly change anything. The one thing we changed, and a lot of people I think agree with me on this, even if they like default, is the weapon cycling. And that was an option that's been available, or was available in Gears of War 2, and that even MLG has reached out and said if there's a chance to turn that off, or at least make it where it goes every 2 rounds instead of every 1, that's better. And so, outside of that, we hardly changed anything. We just chose one of the default weapons that's already there, and left it. And so all week, all I've gotten is messages saying, I can't believe you're allowing the retro, it's so stupid. Or, I can't believe you're banning the sawed off, it's so stupid. I can't believe you're taking this out. Well, you know what? These are our settings. I find it funny that an organization like Gcon can have a fun night with all boom shots and say, oh, let's all get boom shots and go around, run around and blow each other up. Okay, well, they can do that and that's perfectly fine, but we run one tournament and change a mulcher to a torp bow and you flip your shit on me? I mean, seriously. Come on. We know what MLG is doing. People are going to follow the MLG rules regardless. And so what they do is what people are going to follow. So if we want to change some stuff up, and heaven fucking forbid that we have a different tournament, and all you do is come and bitch at me about it. I mean, if we want to change the settings up a little bit for our own tournament, then so be it. I'm ranting.
I know. I didn't even want to stop you. I was like, look at him go. It warms my heart to see other people angry and upset. It really does. It almost makes me feel all tingly on the inside. I really do. But no, on a very serious note, so to those of you who are attacking Gao Nation, saying that Gao Nation is trying to do these various things, you've heard it from Phoenix himself. That is not their intention. So that's one off the list of things that that some people have critiqued it on. So, Gao Nation playing with settings, so let it be. I think the other thing I'd like to comment on here is this default setting idea. In the world of politics, being on message is so important, and I have tried over the last couple of weeks to be on message with almost everything that I say. I don't know if I want to rant, if I want to explain this, if I want to explain my position, because people come to me and they say, well, Jerry, and you said it too, John, I'm not really a fan of default settings. I want to clear that up real quick. I'm a fan of not separating ranked room and tournament play, and I am 99% certain that between now and the first MLG event for Gears of War, there will be more than one title update for this game. I just want to start there. So start with that one very simple message. There will probably be more than one title update for this game. Now that title update will change what are the default settings. Right? Everybody can understand that, I hope. And that means that the goal of making sure that what people experience in the game are the same. So let's talk about how this whole thing works. Let me tell you what's got me upset so that I can get this out of my system, right? And hopefully by explaining this to all of you, none of you will hate me for it, but I got to get this off my chest. I really do. So for those of you who are not experts in game development, I want to explain how this works. Epic in Gears of War 1 and Gears of War 2 was connected to Xbox Live. And Xbox Live could gather certain limited amounts of data. Now they have dedicated servers, and they can collect a whole bunch more data, right? The computer, the game resides on a computer out in the world, a server, and when you connect to that room, you connect to that server, and that server monitors all of the in-game activity. You can take that data, and you can go, show me the average time of the map between September 27th and October 27th. Are there any trends? Oh, look at Thrashball. On September 27th, the average time of a Thrashball event was 22 minutes. October 27th, it's come down to 12 minutes. What do you think that change is? Well, the change is, for those of you that don't know, people adapting to the game. And that will happen over time. And they will look for those kind of trends. Or they will say, I want to know how many people died by the sawed-off shotgun on this particular map. Show me the statistics. And you will see that. And guess what? If they see a lot of people dying and a lot of people using only one weapon, it may make them consider, hey, is this really how we want the game to be played? Now, they are gathering that data, right? Let's just examine this again. The game sold about 3 million copies. If all 3 million of those players play just 10 games, that's 30 million games of data. 30 million games of data. That's if they just play 10 games. Let's say each person plays 100 games. You can start to see how that exponentially would rise. So can you kindly explain to me why the fuck any nerd in a scrim room thinks they've got the fucking answer as to how Gears of War should be played? That's the part that's most frustrating me. There's a certain hubris around these people, a certain arrogance, as if who the fuck cares what you really think, right? I watched Arctic's miserable fucking video laden and dripping with sarcasm where Arctic's like, good old Epic puts in the... And you just want to strangle him. You think, like, really, do you think you're helping right now with your silly fucking video? Honestly. Like, just a fucking last MLG event, we had Quinn De La Hoya there, we had a Major League Gaming, we got all the right players in the key position. And they prop Arctic up to be the commentator, and a shitty one at that. And as soon as Arctic comes off commentating what he does, instead of quietly behind the scenes maybe trying to create a solution, he creates these videos that are basically anti-Epic. Oh, Epic's stupid. Oh, Epic's a moron. And then he's the one who wants to fucking police the community for good or bad behavior? I don't think so. I think the problem with Gears of War players is that they're young, and because they're young, they don't have a very good understanding of how business, gaming, how products are made. And more importantly, I think, they can't help the fact that they want to be involved, right? They want to, I want to take part. I want to feel special. And I think that's what makes Gal Nation great. One forum thread, put all the bastards in that one thread who think they understand what's going on, and let them. It's like the fucking termite bait, right? You put the termite bait at the end of your yard so all the termites eat that wood instead of coming and attacking the main house. Well, that thread on Gal Nation is like the termite bait. You read through that thread, it's like, oh, Epic's going to fuck it up. Oh, my God, this is overpowered. Oh, my God, this needs to change. Oh, this is going to change it. Nobody fucking cares. People like Sick Image and others, I don't think I'm going to play the game. You know what? Do me a favor. Don't fucking play the game. Who the fuck gives a shit if you play the game? Seriously. You should be able to call out one another with this bullshit. Billions of data points, not good. But you in some anecdotal ranked room get to decide what is good and bad competitively. You've got it all figured out. 7 days. Developers been working on the game for years. And you know who I blame for this? I blame a little bit of timing, history, and a little bit of Major League Gaming. When Halo came out, Halo didn't have the technology that we have available to us today to actually be able to do the kind of data collecting that we can today. So it was easy to create that idea, that position that we know more than the game developers do. They don't know that much. Well, you may have missed that since Halo, just since Halo, the world has changed a little bit. Twitter has come around. Facebook has come around. I could go on and on. Smartphones have come around. The world has changed a little bit. And if you think about just those things I mentioned, technology is going at an exponential rate. You know this. If somebody said this to you, you would understand it. But the thing that frustrates me more than anything is that if I were Epic Games, who walked into this believing that they would have the support of the pro community and that people would support the development process, that they would give Epic the 30 days to fucking check their own data before they felt that they were the fucking Einsteins to fix it, that would be fantastic. But let me make it clear that I'm going to have a nice long fucking list of people who are not. I'm not going to be nice anymore. I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, come on, Arctic's trying. Fuck Arctic. And anybody who claims to want to see this work and then in the same breath attack the very developers whose involvement is critical and who have a process in place to make sure the game is the best it can be. But it's your ignorance. It's your inability to understand the process that puts all of the Gears community, the professional, the competitive, the MLG Gears community, whatever the rest of the world sees you as, it's what puts you in a negative limelight. I see you posting on the Epic forums. You can't fucking help yourself. And as soon as you post on there as an MLG, this, competitive this, you get shit on by everybody else because you sound like an elitist douchebag. You know what? And none of this of what I've said to you is new. I said it 3 months ago. I said it 6 months ago. I said it to all of you. Former Gears of War pros are going to be the fucking bane of this community. Thankfully, Major League Gaming has it under control. Thankfully, you don't matter. Thankfully, nobody gives a shit. My only beef with all of this is to keep VV Gaming people out of it. I wish my even own Gears of War manager, Detrimental, I wish he wouldn't care so much. I just wish he would let them run around and say what he wants. But he's got this real problem with seeing people behave so stupid. But it's all right. It's okay. So there you have it. That's the fucking shit that's got me pissed off this week. I don't want to hear anything from anybody about default settings. Give Epic the 30 days. Watch the title updates. Play the game default. One other thing, assholes. 3 game types, 10 maps. If you played a fucking game type a day, just one game type map and one game type and one map per day, it would take you 30 days to go through the game. 30 days. That's assuming you play every day. We are 7 days into this game, and there are fucking experts running all around like they've got some secret fucking formula. Why does this upset me? I think it upsets me because I'm worried when I see Quinn De La Hoya tweet the things he does. Because I can start to sense that he's turned off by this community. Because that poor dumb bastard walked right into the fucking MLG rally, assuming everything was going to be fucking roses. And that community turned on Epic so fast, like dogs. I've hated the former Gears of War pros for a long time. Mostly because they're pathetic little children who haven't accomplished much in their life. And they cling on to that title because it's the only thing they have done in their life. And as a human being, I can respect that. I really can. I get what it's like to not have done shit in your life. But at some point, if you want to continue to grow as a human being, you're going to need to open the doors and let the people who get paid a lot of money, who have a lot of professional and technical expertise, do their job. And if you let them do their job, you'll come to find that they are probably very competent at doing the things they need to do. If you want to talk about Gears of War settings, I highly recommend you go to Gao Nation. there's a thread there for you to complain, to talk about how everything is all fucked up, talk about how overpowered everything is. You will be in a sea of fellow whiners. And I want you to hug one another and live there. Spend as much time on that forum as you can. Don't go to Epic. Don't come to VV Gaming. Don't go anywhere else. Stay there. Don't even go to game battles. Because the rest of the world should never know how ignorant or naive you are. And that's all I got tonight. Thank you, gentlemen, for letting me get that off my chest. I feel better now.
I feel lousy.
Can I just say that was a long time coming? We haven't had one of those in quite a while, and I feel refreshed. I feel perky after hearing that.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things that, like, it's even when, like, I got a call today from someone who said, Jerry, I think you're psychic. No, to make this record clear, I'm not psychic. But if you take a step back sometimes and you evaluate the landscape, you can make some pretty good business decisions based on the reality of things. And the reality here is Epic's got it under control. They really do. And they will do a fantastic job with this. And Major League Gaming is there the whole step of the way to advise and give input. So relax. Enjoy the game. So, I don't know. Curt, do you even own an Xbox? Because I don't know if Curt does. Do you guys know?
That's a great question. I do. I don't use it though that much. I'm not much of a console player. I do like some of the. I'm getting better at following most of the console games though. But even like Gears of War, I've been trying to keep as up to date on that as possible. But I don't play it because I am horrible. Like,
that's okay.
I can at least understand playing PC because I'm not horrible. Like, I am bad. There's a difference. But consoles, I'm just horrible. I can't do it. So,
well, here's my thing.
And then if I do that, I got to buy $60 for the Xbox game and $60 for the PC game. So it's like, eh.
No, I hear you. Well, here's the thing that I think is really important, and that is that I got a lot of people who, Slasher tends to be very pro PC. I think I can say it like that. I know he was complaining today that id sent their games to Major League Gaming and only sent the console version.
Which I think is great.
And I think it's great that there are PC fans in the world, but anything that sort of smacks of a console war, really, that is so 5 years ago. You really need to come to the 21st century. There is no PC versus console, only in your ancient history mind, right? You may not have noticed, but the world has changed a little bit. It is critical. It is critical from a business perspective that esports starts when you are young. And the average young person is not on their parents' computer. The average young person is on the console. So you want to introduce Major League Gaming to the youngest possible audience so they hear about Major League Gaming and they learn about competitive gaming. That is good for everyone. So stop with the dismissing of consoles.
Well,
right?
I'd like to say real quick. I gotta interject just a tiny bit, just to poke the bear just a tiny bit. I don't agree with anyone that is smacking down consoles. I've never been one for that. I think it's dumb because in the end, this is competitive gaming, guys. This isn't. We're niche enough. We don't need this PC competitive gaming and console competitive gaming bull crap. We don't need it. But at the same time, like, I would have to disagree to an extent that we need to keep it together in the sense that what's the word I'm looking for here? I was trying to think about how to phrase it, but
well, if I can add something to that I think will represent the idea that you're going for. When we launch our new website, we're going to be covering news from other organizations. We're going to be covering news that, e.g., complexity even. I know that sounds really shocking to a lot of people, but with the new site, it's important, on two levels. One, I think it's important that people have a place where they can get a lot of news. And there are other news organizations out there, don't get me wrong. But we have a certain, I think, perspective, VV Gaming, because we're a trading factory, because we have so many different games. I think we can offer perspective to the news that other organizations, which I think are predominantly PC, to be fair, don't have. Not because it's console, but because it's generally focused and it's entrenched in a deep history of 1.6, Brood War, Quake, and that's it. And meanwhile, there's this whole other history that those people are not aware of that started with Halo, went to Gears of War 1, included Rainbow Six Vegas 1 and 2, went on to Halo 2, 3, Halo Reach, Call of Duty Black Ops, now Gears of War 3, the Brawl community. That's esports too.
I think I'm not sure if did you cut out or
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I'm lagging just a tiny bit, so I apologize. There's a storm, but no, I think and to talk about your new website and stuff. I'm not sure if you might have missed this interview or not, but IeSFI, which is an amazing community website that I do like and support a lot, recently did a interview with Trevor Midway from that's not his last name. Midway is his alias, from Godfrag, Godfrag fame, and now he's the director, I think, for ESF North America. I think that's what he is.
You're right. Yeah.
And he made a point that it is impossible. He says impossible for a gaming organization or team to fill the role of a Godfrag or fill the role of a news, any type of serious news, because in the end, and he brought Complexity and SK as great resources for that. He said, in the end, you're not going to see SK write an article shitting on SK.
And see, I think what he misses, right? I think what he misses is that you don't need, right? This is a problem with dealing with young people. This is the part that I find so cute. And I mean that. I mean, I find it cute. Do you really think that MSNBC shits on their corporate owners? Do you think Fox News shits on their corporate owners? Do you think CNN shits on their corporate owners? Right? Do you think the people who own newspapers shit on their owners? Of course not. That's the politics of the real world. There is no pureness. There is no idealism. The world is a complicated place, my friends. So, can a company own something and it still do a good job? Yeah, believe it or not, it really does happen. Right? There really are. It really is okay. And
that was my point. That was my point, that I think that, and not to be kiss ass here, but I really do think that if anybody, even more than CheckSix or EG or Complexity or anyone, if anybody can pull off something like you guys are trying to pull off, like trying to get this news out there for multiple organizations as well as multiple games, it's you guys. If anybody can pull it off, it's you guys, because you guys have been there.
Right. Well, plus we're not in that sense, right? I'm not.
You guys
I don't
have
to worry. If for an EG or a Complexity to say something bad or damaging about one of their top players, oh my God, right? If you were to say something bad about one of EV's players, I don't know which one. 160 some we have. Oh my God, one was a crack addict and fucking smoked crack. Noted. He's been dropped. Thanks. Right? It would be over, and it would be over as soon as it started, because we don't operate that way. There's no brand to protect. There's no sponsors to drop. We don't have that worry that way. So yeah, again, that's an old school idea. Oh, no gaming organization can cover the news. Sure, but it's very naive. It's the sort of naivety that comes generally from being young, or when you have somebody who, as an example, they will they have their own agenda. Maybe we've got somebody who's a little insecure that VV Gaming may shift its model and go race after top sponsors. Relax, it's not what we want to do. If I wanted to do that, we could have done it numerous times. There's a much broader niche in esports that we fill, and I think we can do a really good job filling it. And the first time that somebody feels our news is biased, outstanding. I can't wait to hear, oh my God, you misrepresented us. Go, come on the show. Tell us. Write your own article. I'd love to hear what we got wrong. Right? Newspapers and radio stations do corrections all the time. Let me say that again. Open your local newspaper, Open USA Today, open the New York Times, pay attention to broadcasts. You'll get a little snippet sometimes that says, we would like to issue a correction. We would like to issue an apology. And those are professional news organizations. If they sometimes get things wrong, I think it's okay if somebody at an esports news website gets something wrong, you stand up for it, a dialogue ensues, and then it's corrected or there's a good discussion. Let the greater community decide. I think it's very doable. I think the only naysayers are those, again, who tend to be younger, a little inexperienced, and have this sort of naive idealism about the black and white sort of nature of the world. Wow, we long tonight, Jason. I think we're coming near an end here.
Yeah, wow. With all the technical difficulties we had at first and everything, I think we've been going for, got to be close to 3 hours now at this point, huh?
Yeah. Well, I want to do one last thing, and that is I need to personally thank everybody who donated, and I want to call out some people. For those of you that don't know, we just did a donation drive and we raised for over $4,500 to pay for our brand new website. This brand new website, like I said, will serve not just VV Gaming, but hopefully the greater esports community. And those passionate people inside VV Gaming that contributed, I think, need to be identified. First off, I want to thank Miley Cyrus. He was our top donor at $511. Then Michael gave $510. The Turtle, longtime member of VV Gaming, him and his dad contributed $500. Preen, who was our StarCraft manager, who works as a chef, and now is a passionate member of our StarCraft community because his day job got busy, gave $275. Shell Shock, he is a war veteran and a member of our League of Legends community, gave $205. Blazik, our blogger, gave $200. Perilous, long-time member and elite member, gave $200. Craft Dinner, who's going to be starting his own League of Legends show, gave $109. D-Way from our StarCraft division gave $100. Griddles, who is not even in VV Gaming, gave $100. JH, who is not in VV Gaming, gave $180. James Kahn, who is not in VV Gaming, gave $100. Sugar Bear, our StarCraft 2 manager, gave $100. Icy in our League of Legends division gave $80. Brock, our YouTube manager, gave $51. Eckert, who used to be in VVV, then had to leave and started school and now is reapplying, gave $50. Esoteric gave $50. Richter in our StarCraft division gave $50. Sweep in our StarCraft division gave $50. VFX in our League of Legends division gave $50. Yeah Boy Reckless, another applicant, gave $50. And Voice in our very own admin and executive in training gave $50. So I want to thank personally all of you for your contribution to VV Gaming. Every time somebody like an Arctic says, I think video game communities are shitty, well, fuck him. You work together to raise $4,500 to help bring about, I think, a product that is going to benefit everybody. So I really appreciate that. Also, I want to give a very special thanks to Jason, my co-host. I didn't want to just put him in the list of names that we put there because Jason does a lot more, and he also donated $200, just so you guys know. And Jason's $200 gift comes on top of doing a podcast every week and basically letting me yell at him for every little technical difficulty that goes wrong. So I can't do this show without the great people that are a part of it. So I want you guys to know that Jason, who brings you the show every night, who does more than $200 worth of work, still found it as, someone who still lives at home, who probably, I imagine, wants to get out on his own, still demonstrates his passion by giving $200. So I just want everybody to know that this community, I think, is a beacon and an envy of many people. And I think we do something really special. And a lot of people, not a lot of people, but some people I trust, Jerry, if you do a $4,500 donation drive and you don't get the money, it's going to look really bad. And I said, not a chance that we're not going to get it. And not only did we get it, we got it, most of it in 2 weeks, and we finished it in 3 weeks. And, I think that it's because of things like that It's because of people who care about what we do in VV Gaming, donating their money. And for many people that I put on that list, the staff, there's nothing more humbling than when the people who every day do work on our forums, in all the things we do, from YouTube to social media to interviewing people to all the things we do, that they go out there and they still, on top of all of that, care enough to donate. It's very humbling. So I just want to give a sincere thanks to all those people, and know that you really make what I do more rewarding and very humbling. So thank you. And with that, Jason, I want to turn it to you.
Oh, first things first, thank you for the recognition. I mean, that's humbling in and of itself. So I really do appreciate it. And appreciate even the people in the stream saying, thanks to all of us. I mean, we do this for you guys. The fact that we even have this passion, that we got these many people to donate, I mean, that's all because we love this competitive gaming community, and we want to see this grow into something even better than what it currently is. So thank you guys for being here. And with that being said, I want to give a special thanks to all of EV Gaming's sponsors, SteelSeries, GamerGrub, Control Freak, and of course a big, huge thank you, as always, to the band Power Glove for supplying their music. I know I had some people in the stream earlier today asking whose music was playing, before we had started the show. That's the band Power Glove. Go check out their latest album, Saturday Morning Apocalypse. It's a great listen if you're into classic, nerdy metal. It's good stuff. Thank you once again. I feel like I should be redundant. I don't think we say it enough, to all the competitive gaming community, not just the VV Gaming community, the listeners from CheckSix, every other gaming organization that tunes in. We appreciate you guys. Let us know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong. Give us some feedback. Be sure to stop by our podcast homepage. The website's vvvgaming.podbean.com. You can also subscribe to us over on iTunes. Just search for VV Gaming. Any feedback you do have, you have a couple ways you can get it to us. You can email us at thelosersbracket@vvv-gaming.com, or you can also send us a tweet over on Twitter. There we are simply known as Losers Bracket. Once again, we really do appreciate you guys sticking through with us. I know we had a bunch of technical difficulties earlier today. We apologize for that. My internet's horrible. I have to see if I can get that upgraded. Maybe that'll fix that a little bit in the future, but we really do appreciate you all. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope to see you here next week.